two major U.S. cruise lines announced plans to sail again in just 2 months. That's right, two major U.S. cruise lines are going to be cruising in June. This is Adventures in Coriolis. Have some cruise news for you today, including when we are going to see cruises begin again, and it's going to happen very, very soon. Let's get into this cruise news. Thank you all for checking out this video today. If you're new to the channel, I invite you to take the time right now to subscribe. Have a lot of cruise content to come very soon, and I'm going to tell you all about that today. First up, as I mentioned at the top, two major U.S. cruise lines have announced plans to return to sailing in June. However, the one caveat to that, of course, the CDC is still really not allowing cruises from U.S. home ports, so these cruises will embark on those sailings from a couple of foreign ports. The first of which is Royal Caribbean. They have announced that they are going to start offering, starting on June the 12th from Nassau down in the Bahamas. They're going to be taking their Adventures of the Sea on a 7-day voyage all across the Bahamas. They're going to have a couple days at their Perfect Day at Coco Cay, which is the private island owned by Royal Caribbean. Then they're going to sail all the way over to Cozumel for a day, couple of days at sea there before finishing at Freeport and then back at Nassau. Now these sailings are going to continue beginning in June all the way through August. So sort of a limited season down there in the Bahamas, but it's going to happen, it looks like. Cruises are going to start back up. Now, as I mentioned, not from U.S. home ports, but still pretty close to the United States. Nassau only being, within a couple hundred miles from the Florida coast, folks can take a quick flight over. Now, personally, I have plans to be on one of the first of those cruises from Nassau, so stay tuned because I'm going to have some actual cruise vlogs coming your way this summer, and I'm super excited to get back on the ocean, of course, but also excited to bring you my second cruise vlog series from the Adventures of the Seas, leaving out of Nassau this summer. Super excited about that. Not only is Royal Caribbean going to be sailing out of Nassau on the Adventures of the Seas, they also announced that they're going to be doing sailings, I think beginning on June 26th from Bermuda. Now that one only goes to Coco Cay, so it's like a really long cruise just to go to one place. So I don't know how attractive that's going to be, but there are two offerings for Royal Caribbean this summer. Also, Celebrity Cruises has announced that they're going to be offering a sailing embarking out of St. Martin and going to parts of the Caribbean. So good news, we are going to see cruises this summer. It's, no more waiting on the CDC. If you want to go on a cruise this summer, you do have options, albeit in, some foreign ports of call, but, it offers a little bit of a different experience than what we're used to. So looking a little bit closer to home, when are cruises going to resume from U.S. home ports? Well, that still remains very unclear. Here recently, a lot of the major cruise lines, the Cruise Line International Association, or CILA, they've all been petitioning to the CDC, let us cruise, give us, the steps we need to take, what do we need to do? It's been 5 months since the CDC released any type of guidance on the protocols or steps that the cruise lines need to take in order to get back to sailing. So they've been in meetings last week, they being the major cruise lines, they were in meetings with the CDC to try to come to some resolution so that they can set forth the protocols and the guidelines that they can start taking steps to get back out on the ocean once again. The Cruise Line International Association actually issued a statement calling for the CDC to, quote, consider the ample evidence that supports lifting the conditional sail order this month to allow for the planning of a controlled return to service this summer. Now, CILA went a step further and also underscored how it's ultimately going to be American ports that lose out when cruise lines begin sailing prominently from these foreign ports. Now, we've seen that now with Royal and Celebrity Cruise Lines as they're offering these summer cruises from foreign ports of embarkation. CILA is starting to get a little worried and saying, hey, we're going to see a lot more cruises move to these foreign ports now that they can't sail from the U.S. They said, quote, with no discernible path forward or time frame for resumption in the U.S., more sailings originating in the Caribbean and elsewhere are likely to be announced, effectively shutting American ports, closing thousands of American small businesses, and pushing an entire industry offshore. Now those are pretty big words for CILA and a pretty stark warning to what could happen. Some of the impacts to the American economy if these cruise lines more and more start going to foreign ports of embarkation. I think it's going to be difficult to see a large push for most cruise lines to do that because there's such limited port options that they actually could sail from. You have Nassau Royals there now. They can only, hold so many cruise ships for an embarkation port. I don't think they have the infrastructure to be you know, a large port like a Port Canaveral or a Miami, where a lot of cruise ships are leaving every couple or few days. Now, in the wake of these cruise lines announcing they were going to be sailing outside of the U.S. this summer, Carnival Cruise Line actually, you know, they did the sort of, not me, you know, I have higher standards than that. They did release a statement. Their president, Christine Duffy, actually released a statement saying that, you know, Carnival Cruise Line is America's cruise line. We're sailing in America. That was probably an ill-timed statement to make because on April the 6th, they were forced to cancel all their sailings through the end of June. Now, this included the Carnival Mardi Gras, which was slated to have its inaugural sailing on June the 5th. That's now going to debut supposedly on July 3rd. We'll see if that happens. Now, in addition to Carnival Cruise Line, a lot of the other major cruise lines have also canceled through the end of June as well. This has come because there has been that lack of guidance from the CDC on exactly what it's going to take for cruise lines to open back up and start sailing again. Norwegian Cruise Line actually sent a plan to the CDC outlining some protocols that they wanted to implement, thinking that it would, you know, suffice the CDC and they would approve the plan. However, I don't think the CDC has responded yet to Norwegian Cruise Line about their proposal. Not really a lot from the CDC at all. As I mentioned, it's been 5 months since the CDC released any guidance for the cruise lines. And as you may have heard, last Friday, the CDC came out and said, hey, if you've been fully vaccinated, you're totally safe to fly and travel now. You can do all that. However, you still can't go on a cruise. Well, late in the day on April the 2nd, that same Friday, the CDC did come out with more guidance for the cruise lines in order steps maybe that they need to take, just general, very general guidance on return to sailing. However, this guidance didn't really tell us a lot. It didn't tell us when cruises might expect to be able to start up again from US ports. It didn't tell the cruise lines exact steps that they needed to take and evidence that they needed to prove that they had taken steps. It was very broad, general guidance, so not very helpful to the cruise lines at all. Now, fast forward just a bit to April the 7th, and you have Carnival Corporation CEO Arnold Donald, and he actually called the guidance, quote, very burdensome and almost unworkable. He said, quote, Americans can fly, take a cruise, and return home without being vaccinated, but can't get on a cruise ship in the US, even if fully vaccinated. He went on to say, we'd just like to be treated similarly to the rest of the travel and entertainment sector. Donald went on to stress that Carnival didn't want to sail outside the US to avoid the CDC restrictions like some of the other cruise lines have, including Royal and Celebrity. But he did mention that it takes upwards of 60 to 90 days to return a ship to ready to sail state and get crew back, to get provisions on that ship. So they just wanted some type of guidance so that they could start planning, because you imagine if it takes 3 months, we're April now, that's putting you into July. That's when Carnival currently has their bookings up for the beginning of July. So they just want to know something. So it's interesting that he called out the CDC for basically letting airlines and others in the entertainment and travel sector continue business as normal, but the cruise lines still have been given no guidance on when they might be able to set sail once again. So I think this is just going to be a continuing problem as we go on over the next few weeks and probably months, until the CDC actually lays out some guidance with some goals in it and a time frame that the cruise lines need to take. So hopefully we'll get better guidance from the CDC soon. The cruise lines will. They'll be able to start implementing these things. Test cruises was another thing that was mentioned, but it didn't really state how that was supposed to be handled and what was supposed to take place on these test cruises. So until we start to see things like that come together, we're not going to see a firm return to sail date from those US ports. But as I mentioned, you do always have that option this summer, going to Nassau, going to Bermuda, going down to St. Martin, getting on one of those sailings. And as I mentioned, going to be on one of those from Nassau on the Adventures of the Sea. So please subscribe to the channel so that you don't miss the cruise vlog series coming up this summer. Now also, if you've been watching my channel and following these videos, you know that I've been following the inaugural sailing of the Mardi Gras. Now, of course, slated for July 3rd, now that those June cruises have been canceled, I'm actually not planning to go on the Mardi Gras at all in July. I really don't think that the Mardi Gras inaugural is going to happen in July. First of all, we don't know when cruises are going to start sailing again. But the other day, when Carnival sort of saw the writing on the wall for the June cruises, they started pulling things down. They actually removed the Mardi Gras sailings for both June and July from their website before throwing the July sailings back up. So I don't know, I think that was maybe some foreshadowing or some knowledge that they have that maybe the Mardi Gras won't be quite ready to sail on its inaugural sailing in July. So they're maybe going to plan that for August. However, you can book cruises on the Mardi Gras in July right now on Carnival's website, but I'm going to hold off till August and hope the inaugural happens then. So let me know down in the comments below, what do you think? When do you think cruises might start back up again? And do you have plans to go on any of those sailings from Royal and Celebrity that they're offering from Nassau, Bermuda, or St. Martin? I'm very interested to know how popular those are actually going to be. Thank you all for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it and found it informative. If you did, please give me a thumbs up down below. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. And until next time, I'll catch you on the next adventure.